Okay, we're ready to get started here. Please, reminder, raise your hand when we get to questions, and we'll bring a microphone to you and wait to be called on. And we'll start with Coach Freeman's opening statement.
Yeah, as I just met with the team and told them this one's disappointing. And, you know, you got to give credit to Stanford. They did a good job. They played well. But our lack of execution is frustrating. You know, that was adamant today, especially in the first half. You know, we have to execute better. And offensively, we have to execute better. Defensively, we can't give them the touchdown on the very first drive. You know, and this is why it's a team game. You know, when there's days when your offense isn't executed with a defense, we got to play better. We got to play perfect. Offense has been doing really well last couple weeks when we haven't been playing perfect defensively. But today was the day we needed the defense to play perfect, and we didn't. Offense, we got to do a better job executing. We did a better job in the second half. I'm sure somebody's going to ask me what happened. I think the ability to run the ball a little bit better in the second half is which opened some things up. You know, Drew's got to be more accurate. We got to protect him. We got to protect him, and he's got to execute. You know, but we got to look at ourselves as coaches first and say, okay, why didn't we execute the way we were supposed to, the way we wanted to, right? And then we got to make sure we go and we evaluate and find ways to make sure this doesn't happen. So with that, I'll open up for questions.
On your right, Pete Sampson, front row.
Marcus, if it's down to execution, especially offensively in the first half, like what was the approach? What were you trying to execute in terms of like the approach? Where did you feel like you could get Stanford?
It's the same thing in the past couple of weeks. When you want to run the ball and you want to take advantage of some play action passes and the zones that they're giving you, and we weren't running the ball effectively. But we also weren't passing the ball. You know, we weren't throwing the ball as effective as we wanted to. So you have a game plan. The game plan is to run the ball and try to capitalize off of the aggressiveness of their defense and try to take some shots. And we just weren't executing, obviously, at the level we wanted to.
And did you sense any kind of flickering of confidence for the offense at halftime? Like what went on at halftime that sort of got things in some sort of a gear in the third and fourth quarters?
I don't know if it's something you say or something. It's just the reality of you look at yourself and say, okay, guys, this is about us, and we did not execute that first half. Let's get the running game going. Let's continue to ride the running game. And I think you had some success running the ball. It wasn't a lack of trying to run the ball the first half. It was just, you know, you would get 1 or 2 yards on one gain and would go to throw it, and all of a sudden you're not executing there. And our third down, I mean, we were 3 of 12 on third down. If you're 3 of 12, that's something where we've been very successful last couple of weeks, especially last week. We were 3 of 12 on third down, and you're not going to win if you're doing that.
Second row on your right.
Coach, you mentioned earlier in the week about the rivalry and how big of a game this was. At the same time, you guys were heavily favored, playing really well. Is it possible your team overlooked this opponent?
No. That's not why we lost. It wasn't a lack of overlooking anybody. It was a lack of preparation, a lack of execution. That's not overlooking an opponent. I thought they practiced their tails off. And if you overlook an opponent, I don't think you're preparing the way you need to prepare. But we got to look and see what exactly did or we didn't do in practice that led to the lack of execution in the game. They respect this rivalry. They understand. You ask any one of them, they understand how important this game is and how important the preparation is. And so, as I told them, it wasn't a lack of effort in the game. It wasn't a lack of effort in preparation. But it's not correlating over to the results that you want. So you got to look at what you're doing and how you're doing it and figure out a better way to do it.
Third row on your left, Tim Priester.
Coach, you've played 6 games. You've played your best football by far away from Notre Dame Stadium. Is there any kind of common thread that connects with the performances at home?
No. And for me to sit up here and say yes, that would be make an excuse for why we're losing, why we're not playing well. It's not an excuse. I mean, we're not blaming Notre Dame Stadium. You better look at yourself. If I come up here and blame Notre Dame Stadium, how foolish is that as the leader of this program, right? I got to make sure we look at ourselves and say, okay, what aren't we doing? I'm not blaming Notre Dame Stadium for our lack of winning, playing good football. No.
Stanford defensively, did they give you something that you hadn't seen on film?
No. That's the thing that's a little bit frustrating. It wasn't like, oh my gosh, they don't know. We don't know what. We haven't prepared for this. We knew. The amount of times that, we said, man, we should have done this. We should have done that. It's a lack of execution, and that's what we got to eliminate. It's not we should have. Why didn't we? Why didn't we? And so it wasn't anything we weren't prepared for. We just did not do a great job of executing, and they did, Tim.
Patrick Engel, front row on your left.
Marcus, when you're 6 games in and still kind of looking for answers to those why lack of execution questions, kind of what's the feeling, or where do you go from here as far as changing up how you look at that why?
You got to evaluate the film. You got to watch it, and you got to figure out why we didn't. And look at every single play. Because what happens if all of a sudden it's a 2-point game and you come back and you win it by 1, you're feeling a little bit better, obviously, because you win. But you have to go back and watch every single play and figure out why or why not aren't we executing, and that's what we got to do.
And the fumble, what kind of mood flip did that create on the sideline, or just momentum-wise, how much of a crusher was that?
When we fumbled? When Audrey fumbled?
Yeah, the last one.
Yeah. You're moving the ball, you're rolling, but guess what? Defensively, you got to step up. And they did. We held them to a field goal. We still gave the offense the ball back. And, the sack on that 2-minute situation really hurt. That hurt. We got to protect our quarterback because we're rolling. We're moving. It made it 2nd and 14, 15. And, I can't remember exactly what happened. Another 3rd down to Mayer, that was incomplete. And the 4th down, we didn't complete it. But, you hope on that drive before the last drive, you're able to go and score. You're down 2 points at that moment, right? You're down 2, and you hope you're able to go and you score, and we fumble the ball, and, it was frustrating, but your defense did a good job of stopping them and giving your offense the ball back.
Staying on your left, second row, Tyler James.
Marcus, the defense had a number of near turnovers. Is it deflating to the defense at all that they're that close to making maybe a difference-making play, and then those never seem to come through for them?
No, I wouldn't say it's deflating. It's a turnover gives you more momentum. It gives you a sense of emotion. But when you're close and you don't get it, I don't say it's deflating. No, But those are the moments we got to get them. We got to get them. We got to find a way to get them. That one where JD looked like he punched it out right there with his knee touching, that was tough because I thought we had it, but I think we went on to stop on that series. So, yeah.
Can this offense be too reliant on Michael Mayer? Is Drew Pine looking to Michael Mayer maybe too often?
We'll have to go and we'll have to see. Now there was a couple of times I'm like, throw the ball to Mayer, he's open. But no, I don't think it's that we're too reliant on Michael Mayer. It's just that, we're just not executing. And I know you guys are going to look for a different answer, but there isn't. I can't come up with a magic answer for it's the lack of execution. And the only way to fix a lack of execution is go back and study it and say, okay, what aren't we doing right? Okay? And then you watch the film, and then you go say, okay, how are we practicing? What do we got to do to make sure that we are giving ourselves a better chance to execute on Saturdays?
Are you learning how to better make those changes in games this season in your first time as a head coach? Is that something you have to figure out how to do?
It's, my role as a head coach is to give my opinion, right? And there's times I might say, hey, run the ball. Hey, run the ball. There's not many times I say stop running the ball and throw the ball, but there's times I say run the ball. We did. We tried to run the ball first half. We ran the ball pretty effectively the second half. We're running the ball that second last series, and we fumble. So it isn't like I need to speak up and tell you, Coach Reese, you're not doing a good job, do you? No, he's doing an excellent job. you know. And my job is to look and say, okay, Monday through Friday, what aren't we doing, or what are we wasting our time on doing that isn't giving us a better chance to execute on Saturday? And again, same thing without going on defense. I'm there to every once in a while give my opinion, but I have the utmost confidence in our coordinators. They spend enormous amounts of time game planning, studying, and they do a good job. We have to go back and look and say, what aren't we doing, and what don't we? Because it's not a call. He should have called this. No, it's not. They have a call sheet and they call the plays or the defensive calls on there. We have to look and say, okay, what are we executing? What aren't we executing? You know, and that's to me the challenge is that my challenge is to make sure that we're calling the things that we're executing. If we're calling things we're not executing, we got to look and figure out why. Yep.
We'll come all the way to the back. Cameras here on your left.
Coach, obviously not blaming the officiating, but do you think there's some inconsistency there tonight?
Really? Once again, I'm not going to blame anything other than myself and us on the result today. I can get as frustrated as I want in terms of the calls, where they're from. It's us. Take a deep look at ourselves and say, why aren't we doing the job we're supposed to do? Because what I don't want to do is have a football program that plays the blame game. That's not the way we'll be as football players. That's not the way we're going to be as men. That's not the way we're going to be as a football program. We're going to take ownership of our mistakes, and that's what I believe in.
Second row on your left, John Stiers.
Marcus, the touchdown pass to Bias, and he had a near miss earlier. Just anything specific for him that this week that kind of led to those, I guess.
Both of those two calls were specifically for Tobias. We missed the first one, overthrew it a little bit. He was open, and was able to connect. On the second one, we were looking for a specific coverage. We saw it and we called it, and again, no, that's what Tobias Merriweather can do, but he's got to continue to expand that confidence in terms of what the coaches feel like they can call with him in there, and he is. I think today will be a big confidence booster in him and his coaches.
And then I think Jason Adamalola and Ramon both came out. Can you kind of update their status?
Yeah, they haven't. I think Ramon went back in. I'm not 100% sure. But Jason was out. He had a rib. Said he had a rib contusion. I don't know if he had a helmet to the rib or something. But, we were missing. Listen, it hurts not having Tariq out there. Jaden Mickey was his backup at nickel. It hurts not having him and then Ramon's. But those guys battled. They battled. Some guys stepped up. We'll be all right. We'll be all right.
And then we'll wrap it up with Mike Bernardino, second row on your right.
I know you wanted pressure from the four without having to send extra people, but did the way the injuries fell, the banged-up secondary, did that impact your ability to get more creative with creating pressure, just the one sack and 3 hurries?
No, I don't mean, you miss Jason's out. I think he was the only one out with injury.
But just in terms of not wanting to expose your back end with any blitzing and that sort of thing.
Yeah, I want to create 4-man pass rush, and I want to. They did a good job of not really dropping him back too many times. They do a good job on third down of running some RPOs to kind of keep you honest defensively. He's a good quarterback, and he's not a huge scrambler, but he's a good quarterback in terms of making decisions and putting the ball where it needs to be. I don't know. It's just frustrating, man. Frustrating. We got to be better. We just got to be better. We'll find a way. Trust me. We're 3-3, and we're gonna evaluate and we're gonna get better. We have no other choice. You got a head coach and a whole bunch of coaches and a bunch of seniors that they're dying to improve, right? And they're putting great work in. Today's result wasn't what you wanted. The last 2 weeks, they did a heck of a job. So we got to swallow this pill and get our heads back up, which we will. I might be the worst one, but you know what? Listen, the competitive side of things, we're going to watch it and we're going to get fixed with this group of guys, and we'll be all right. We're going to figure it out. Okay.